Hello and welcome to Comedy Central for our Saturday lolcow rodeo, or whatever we called it. Yes, the lolcow rodeo. I'm real happy to be here. I have to say though, having a live stream on Wednesday and Saturday, and considering that this is only a hobby, has left me very little opportunity to prepare in between, but I was able to do it. Don't know too much how much you're going to hear or have Wednesdays, but I'll try to do them if I can. I am also pleased that we have today with us as a guest, third generation German American. How are you, sir?
Hey, everyone. I'm doing great. How about you?
I am well, thanks. And we also have here with us in the audience a nice fake evangelist, Dr. Robert McKim Sr. Welcome. Welcome. You and the other doctor, both fakes. But you can still stay in chat. We'll entertain you. So, yeah. This is going to be real interesting. I have a ton of things I hope to talk about, hope to have prepared. Let me see here. Where am I? All right. So it sounds like everybody, he is a little cowardly, isn't he, militant autist? But as things progress.
Y'all can't hear me, right? Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
You guys can hear me this time, right?
Oh, yeah, that's good. So can you hear third generation? Somebody. Don't all type at once. Yes.
All right. Okay. I see some yeses. All right. By the way, if anyone's curious, that is a still image. It is not going to blink at you. If it does, contact a priest.
Contact Bob. Well, it's kind of funny. So I had to try to do the stream last Saturday. I had the issue with the dog. Wednesday, I had a bird. Today, I have a kid screaming outside. I had to look to make sure it wasn't Renee. It's not. Hello, Godman. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Hi.
I'm glad you guys are here. If you guys don't know, go ahead and look at Godman's channel. He runs, or she, runs the BobTube channel that plays Bob McKim videos 24/7. That's always a delight. When you're bored, that's a very good place to go. Welcome, Mike Hunt, the ghost of It Me. Hopefully you and June worked out your differences and she'll stop striking you.
I mean, he could change his name to Paul. It might get a positive response out of her.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, boy. Still waiting for that Lifetime movie. Hey, Bob Dog, welcome. All right, so let's kind of jump in because I have some updates from around the... Well, don't die. Just don't die anytime soon. We need that channel, Godman. But let's take a quick look around the lolcow universe. Last night, our good friend Tommy Tudor had a 20-minute live stream, 20 minutes or so. He had multiple viewers, but what I found interesting is not a single person was like talking in his chat. It was like the first time I've ever seen it was like crickets, right? And even Tommy's getting bored. He's like literally saying, "Where are my trolls? I need entertainment." I mean, and Tommy even tried to bait people. I mean, he was at one point he was talking about how people are complaining on some thread about being misgendered, and he didn't even get anything on that. And then he was talking about oh boy, I have to see if this is our real Tommy or a fake Tommy. All right, good. So,
hey, I gotta leave for like 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
No problem. So we have then he was talking, and he started talking about BDSM, people who were into BDSM, but it was with consent, and he stressed consent. The word consent didn't trip anybody. And then he started looking at rocks, and I swear it was almost right out of the Bobby Blowhardberg video, and there was like no response to that, and he's finally pretty much like, fuck it, I'm done, and he just pretty much ended his stream. So that was pretty interested for Tommy. Welcome, Frey. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. Aw, Bob Dog, why did Tommy block you? That's not good. I thought you all were like BFFs or something. So then we go over to, if you remember, on Wednesday, I introduced a new lolcow, June Hines. Since that time, I haven't really gone to Bob too much this week, so I haven't seen her. Others may have. Third generation may have, but he obviously had to step away for a second. No. And so she did make a video since then showing, I believe it's her daughter or something, eating a lemon. I mean, that was just such riveting content. I just was like, wow, she's eating a lemon. So there was nothing much that really happened there. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, Frey, you do hang around there. So yeah, she really hasn't come around much. Yeah, June, she did ruin your life. It's believed that June gave Mike Hunt some community guideline strikes. So and got a whole, not this account, but a whole nother account terminated by YouTube. A day in the life of the lolcow universe, or the pastures. So then we go on over to Michelle Marie Delaney, who also has an alter personality, spirit, imaginary friend. Jury's out on it, and I'm not even going to get into that debate right now. But she has Lumi. As I talked Wednesday, Lumi now has a new wig to try to differentiate between Michelle and Lumi. One thing about Michelle is she's kind of like the Elsa who, one of those "Where Are They Now" videos, like, you know, and after the stardom, it's gone to a very hard life, you know. Today in Michelle's live stream, she had emotional breakdown, and you know what, folks, that's really not a good thing for somebody who's running their own show or running their own channel. You know, of course, if you're Nikado Avocado and this is your shtick for doing all the emotional stuff, that's fine, but that's not what Michelle seems to be going for. And so I was a little surprised that she had this meltdown today. She had made a video like 2 days ago, and her video 2 days ago basically said that she was unhappy, and a lot of her unhappiness is in and around this core group of supporters or subscribers, and there's just some drama in a whole nother place, and she's bringing that drama from a whole nother place into her YouTube channel, which again is, you know, probably not a really good thing. She struggles with content, but she has aspirations of being some huge, big channel and part of the YouTube partner program and all these things. And it's like, there's got to be something here. And I think, and my other final thought on Michelle and Lumi is that Lumi's been around for a while, and yes, Lumi is whoever Lumi is. But it seems lately Michelle is really pushing Lumi into people's faces, like forcing them to accept her. She's given Lumi this autonomy, creating separate channels. I mean, they had a discussion with each other on Discord about two different things. And so, I don't know. It just seems to, this whole Lumi thing seems to be getting probably a little bit more intense than what I would think.
I'm back, by the way.
We can hear.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's like 85 degrees in this house. I'm not trying to get my face right in the desk fan, but like it's real hot here.
Yeah, and you're panting because you're probably flipping through Bob's book, that that oversized porn pamphlet of his.
Oh yeah, I'm just so titillated right now.
And so, speaking of Bob, he put out a video yesterday, folks. Said, I have to share with you. It's some serious breaking news.
Oh boy.
Can't you wait?
A van passed him in a Walmart parking lot.
Hurry, other people.
I gotta say, when I watched that video myself, I was on the edge of my seat waiting to see if he chased her down. Like that. Like, the red sports car that drove past his house and he tried chasing it down.
Oh, yeah. We're going to get into some of his chases tonight, so it's going to be good.
Oh, yeah.
So then the woman comes back
around. Of course, it's a woman driver. On her cell phone, of course.
Yeah. And so what does he say? Of course, it's a woman driver. You're sitting in the frickin' Walmart park. You say you're waiting for pedestrians, but I find it interesting that while he stopped waiting for pedestrians, cars managed to go around him and not hit anybody. I was just, what was the purpose of that video? Can somebody tell me what were we supposed to get out of that video? Because I have to say that out of all the care videos, that has to have been the stupidest one he's ever posted.
Yeah.
I don't get it. What's this here? Oh, Francisco says he tricked Bob into driving around Carrollton looking for you in a black Escalade. Wow. There was $10 wasted gas voucher from the welfare office.
Yeah, looks like Renee's going to have to go without that proctology appointment.
Can get that diarrhea build up.
yeah, just 3 more months of diarrhea. It's fine.
Oh boy. Oh boy. So this is probably the perfect intro. Excuse me. I'm gonna put you on the spot with this one. So tell us, third generation, in a nutshell, if you're first visiting Bob's channel, who is Bob and what is he all about? What's that little elevator pitch about Bob?
So, Bob is a person who says he's a preacher, but he's really just a sad man who wants your money and wants you to fix the giant hole over his head.
And that giant hole, folks, if you don't know, Bob has had this ever-growing hole in the ceiling of his trailer, and you could clearly see it in the videos. And this thing, and I think it was Rupert who whatever he goes by, but Rupert who had pointed out in his video that this hole started out like 4 feet wide, and now it's like 12 feet wide. You know,
I mean, you gotta imagine the gravity in that trailer is much stronger than the rest of the planet. Okay.
Nah.
It's probably just yanking the drywall right down.
So yeah, so you say he's a preacher, and he gets his ordination, as he calls it.
Yes.
His ordination is from the Universal Life Church, who will basically ordain anybody who knows how to type and press enter on a computer.
Yeah. Basically, the only thing the ULC is actually useful for is either like a novelty gift, like, oh, I'm professor of the universe now, or for like, I mean, the only other thing I've seen it be useful for is like an atheist or an agnostic wanting just a one-time ordination so they can, do a friend's wedding. It's not an actual religious school. There's no credibility to the degrees. It's literally just a multiple choice test, like you said. And you can take it as many times as you want.
Yeah, and that's another thing too, is all their degrees, you basically buy them, your study materials. I haven't seen them, but I've been told that it's only like 20, 30 pages of study material for a doctorate.
Yeah.
And so you pay this $100 and you get your PhD in religion. So this is how he says he's a doctor, is because he's got this unaccredited degree. Well, he'll say it's accredited, but I don't even want to get into that today. But this unaccredited degree from this so-called church, and so that he identifies strongly with that. And yes, I have to acknowledge militant autist here, because he has a a Christmas tree in his living room year-round. The tree has only become not visible in maybe the last one or two videos because he's had to move the tree to put in a filing cabinet because he's collecting all this evidence on me, third generation German American, God man, and the rest of us. And so now he has this huge file cabinet there.
Yeah, if anyone wants to know where the Christmas tree went, that's in the spot where Renee used to sit. Renee is now on the porch sitting on the toilet.
Holding a tree. And so, so Bob, like we said, he's this doctor evangelist. He was a paper boy for, 20 years. It's his longest job. He's proud of that job. If you listen to him talk, he talks like he got Newspaper Carrier of the Month award one time, and I believe it was October, November. Folks, he talks like it was yesterday. Do you know that this October, November, it's going to be 40 years since he got that award?
Holy shit.
Okay, which would make him about 14 years old when he got it, but he still includes it on resumes. He includes it everywhere. That he was paper boy. And then didn't he get some kind of good behavior thing in school too?
Yeah, he got like an attendance award or something. Someone had said, he's flaunting his middle school rewards for good attendance. And then he made this video shouting at everyone. He says, "It's not from middle school, it's from high school. Get it straight."
And he did have that security job for a long time. I did go back and look because I kind of talked about that Wednesday. It was only 5 months on that job, and so my theory still holds that he missed 16 days in 5 months. So
Yeah.
Bob kind of takes to YouTube. When he first came on, in his first couple of videos, he really didn't even push the evangelist, doctor, or reverend thing. It wasn't until he wanted to start to ask the YouTube world for money that, in my opinion, that he felt that his credentials mattered, and that's when he started using it. There's just a ton about him. I think the biggest thing that set Bob off was the whole thing with CWC or Christine Weston Chandler trying to get him to do a same-sex marriage, and Bob has never pretty much been the same since. That's probably going to be a topic for another time. But that was huge. And yes, Jennifer, yeah, you two seem to have a very big love-hate relationship going.
Hang on 1 second.
Yeah,
Frey Bentos just said, what's the deal with him switching between reverend and evangelist? Well, Frey, at one point, Bob publicly made the switch to evangelist, and he said, I'm not going to call myself reverend anymore because, well, we're all reverent to God. Like, he doesn't understand that the word reverend and the word reverent are two different things. That's the reasoning he gave. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, and he makes a big deal about people calling him evangelist or calling him doctor, at least making a big deal that he is. But there was a video that was posted this week, but it's since been taken down, so I'm not going to source it or reference it. But the video shows him calling his church to complain about the trolls. But when he calls, he doesn't use his title. He doesn't use evangelist or doctor. He just says, hey, this is Robert McKim. And you figure if you're calling your own church headquarters, you'd be like, this is the evangelist Dr. Robert McKim from Carrollton, Ohio. But no, he's like, hi, this is Robert McKim. It's just, he's just a very weird man.
You know how when he did that video where he was showing off Renee's quote-unquote cellulitis, and he had addressed it to the doctors. I don't know if he knows how YouTube works, but it's not like a private messaging system. Just because you said this video's for so-and-so, it's not going to get sent to that person. He just starts emphasizing that he's a doctor. He's like, this is evangelist, doctor, 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 doctor. I'm not telling you ever again. Like, that makes him on the same level as a medical doctor.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it was at the one where he was in the hospital room saying, I have all these degrees under my belt. I know how she should be treated.
Yeah, under his belt.
Yeah.
Right there next to the 250 pounds of fat.
and bacon. The spare rashers off to the side.
Yeah.
So Bob, he takes the YouTube, just focusing on that. I mentioned before, he says he has this laundry list of disabilities. That's probably for a whole nother episode. But one of the things that he does is he uses scripture against people, and he doesn't even pick the correct verses, so to say, to address the situation. In fact, I think he kind of recycles the same 3 to 5 verses all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw this on the internet this week when I was putting this together, and I thought about Bob right away, because this is so him. I mean, if he had a nickel for every time he told somebody they were going to hell, he'd probably be living in a mansion right now.
Made of radios, maybe.
Right? So, yeah, 2 Timothy 3, that is like his biggest one. Let's see.
Yeah.
You guys are weird. That's okay, Mike. You're a little weird too, so you're in perfect company. You're in perfect company. So, the main topic today or where we're going to center, is Bob made a video. It's only 20 minutes long, and I started to talk about it on Wednesday, this received trade name and teaching about emergency radio communications. But in this 20 minutes, there's probably 3 hours of material. And when Bob makes a video, you'll get a little nugget here and a little nugget there. But in this case, it seems that Bob is pretty exceptional. First thing I want to say about this that I find fascinating is that the video is 20 minutes and 31 seconds long. And I've talked about this on another channel in other videos. After you truncate his silence, which would be getting rid of his awkward pauses and just any kind of silence in there, that video goes down to 13 minutes. That means 1/3 of his video is complete silence. And it's a lot to handle because you get to sit there through, hello, this is Evangelist. I mean, I can't believe I do it, but now I do it because I need material. So, so here we talked about Bob. We talked about him getting that trade name Wednesday, and it was a very long trade name. But I just want you guys to hear how long it takes for him to say his name and organization name. Have a listen.
Hello, this is Evangelist Dr. Robert L. McComb Sr. and a founder and president of the Community Awareness and Emergency Response, CAER for short.
He stumbles on his own organization
Security
name.
Radio Patrol.
I mean, he's incredible. I mean, he stumbles on his own organization name. If don't make it so long if you can't say it, Bob. And so I covered Wednesday the first part of his description there, which is clearly written by somebody with a doctorate degree, let me tell you. But he always has been and will be the founder of the CARE Radio Patrol. He and other members, blah, blah, blah. Well, you get to the very end here, and some people may be scratching their head. How dare you claim it belongs to you? You need to take down your YouTube channel claiming it is yours and you are the president. Now, he's not talking about me, and he's not necessarily talking about third-generation German-American. He's talking about Bobbert. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over to third generation to just explain a little bit about Bobbert and how Bobbert became the president of the CARE Security Radio Patrol.
Okay, well, just letting you guys know, I don't know any of this firsthand. I just happen to have a close friendship with Bobbert, and he let me in on the whole story. Now, around the time that Bob's son and Bob's brother came onto the scene on YouTube, I don't know what should I. I'm just gonna break kayfabe here. Lewis and Rupert were doing their videos, and I thought it would be kind of funny to throw my hat into the ring. So I went to Walmart, bought a yellow shirt, bought some yellow running shorts, bought some of those $2 pedophile glasses at the optometrist center.
And can I just say, just really quick, I just want to say really quick that you were so proud of those purchases that he actually took a picture of his basket and sent me a picture of all these things in his basket. Go ahead.
So I was ready. Oh, by the way, there were some other purchases in that basket. I had bought some concealer and some an eyebrow pencil. Because if you've ever looked at Bob in some of his videos, I don't know if it's the weird lighting or if he's just has some sort of extra chromosome that's messing with his facial hair. He has no eyebrow on one side, and half an eyebrow on the other. So what I was trying to do was trying to paint off one eyebrow and then darken the other to contrast it. And I made that first video trying to get all just the little Bob tropes that I could think of, like this is the greatest family, I'm part of the greatest family that's ever been, and holding the green beans in front of the camera, like just trying to basically highlight how ridiculous Bob acts and just how moronic everything about him makes him look.
Yeah.
And by the way, I do know, Bob is probably watching this, I do know that that is not a groundhog. That is a hedgehog. That was... My sister lent me her hedgehog for that video. She's very finicky, and you didn't see much of her, but, you know. And so, yeah, I still have one or two of those in the pipeline. I might just make them for giggles. So yeah, those will probably be a long time from now, though. I got to get props for those. Ugh.
So Bob,
but yeah,
Bob makes the connection between Bobbert and third generation. So on April Fool's, or April 1st, and you could tell it more, but this is where third generation basically tells Bob his name, and I'll let you go from there.
Yeah, so I'd originally planned to have a Bobbert video. I was going to actually have a fake Amazon Prime label on my sister's hedgehog's case that had a fake name on it and fake address, kind of like what Lewis did with his envelope, linking to like the Cincinnati Police Department or something.
The jail.
Yeah. But I'm just really too lazy for that, and I'd actually almost completely forgotten that it was April Fool's, and I just decided, to hell with it. I'm gonna make a little joke video, and I tried my very best in the April 1st and April 2nd video to put off a very convincing narrative that my name was Mike Hunt, which, everyone in the chat older than 5 years old probably understands why I picked that name. I do not live in Fayetteville. I literally just searched Mike Hunt, North Carolina, and picked the Yellow Pages listing that had the most Mike Hunts.
Was it a whorehouse?
So that Bob would just be frustrated and be like, "Oh, there's so many of them. I'm gonna have to report all of them." And Bob has this problem apparently of not watching the videos all the way through, because the second one, almost half of it is literally just the Canadian rapper Uncle Adams dancing around, set to the Spanish Flea, with a message that says "Eat a dick, Bob." And he's like, "I thought you said you were shutting down for good. I thought you said you lost your job and your girlfriend left you."
Just like when he went after Joe Hester. When Joe Hester said, "Do this, and this, and I'll take down my channel."
Yeah, and I remember Joe Hester uploaded a video that was called, like, McKim Cash Money Ministries, and it was just the slowed down clip of Bob showing off his gun, and then it starts playing that, like, Got Money or something by Lil Wayne for, like, 4 minutes with this just really funny background on it. And Bob paused like 1 second before he was going to play that. He was like, "I don't know why this is called Cash Money Ministries."
So there's your little bit of an intro about how Mike Hunt came to be. So in this video that I was talking about, which is the Receive the Trade Name video, I had to look at it again. Bob is now addressing Mike Hunt. So you got to remember, Bob now has a trade name. He thinks that it's valid across the land, but as we know, it's only valid in the state of Ohio. And he knows that Mike Hunt is Bobbert. And so this is what Bob has to say.
Mike Hunt, you are not allowed to use my organization's name. I will be in contact with your state's Attorney General's office and your state's Secretary of State and advise them that you are using my organization's name and claiming that you are the president.
So he's now he's going to contact the Attorney General in North Carolina saying that you're using his organization name. One thing I find interesting is, and I'm not an attorney, but the name you're using is technically not even his trade name.
That's true.
So,
I'm Bob. If you're listening, I'm making a lot of money off CAER. I'm selling coffee mugs, T-shirts, jock straps.
Bacon.
Yeah, just cutting it in the shape of Bobbert's face.
So then, in the same video, because Bob just can't let this go, so about 16 minutes in or so, here's another one from Bob going on about this.
Mike Hunt, if that is your real name, of course you went onto YouTube and said that's what your name is. So once I contact your state's Attorney General,
Attorney General,
I'm gonna give him that name and the town that you said you live in, and whoever Mike Hunt is, they'll find you.
They're gonna find you. Yes.
Because it's not too hard. I mean, what other Mike Hunts out there would have had open heart surgery or surgery on their heart?
Nice talk about your heart surgery.
Yeah.
When he was around 24 years old. He thinks he knows it all.
So you're basically a 24-year-old with a heart problem who thinks he knows it all, and he thinks the state of North Carolina is going to go after you to enforce Ohio trade name. So that's what I got out of it.
I just love to think that there's some lowly desk clerk in Raleigh who's just miserable from the heat. He's sitting in his cubicle with the fan on, and he gets a call saying, "Hello, this is evangelist Dr. Robert L. McKim Sr. from Carrollton, Ohio. I need your help to find Mike Hunt." Just
well, sir, are you married?
Yeah, that's either gonna make that man's day or just he's gonna be done with it.
I mean, it's just crazy, and so I think and we've talked about this before, but I think one of the reasons Bob just can't stand you is you're 24 and he's 54, so you're like a whippersnapper to him.
Yeah.
You have a valid accredited degree. He doesn't. You actually have a health ailment that's it can be serious, yet you're still able to work. He has a little back pain, and he's been leeching off the Social Security system for years.
We used to have these neighbors who were basically a lot like Bob. They would exacerbate every ailment they possibly could so that they could maximize their Social Security earnings. And just thinking about that kind of irks me a lot. If you have valid problems with your health and you need that money, that's fine. But people like Bob, you can tell that he's making shit up to get more money, basically, and that frustrates me a lot.
Yeah, that is, and I've done probably more than enough videos about Bob and Social Security than I probably intended on, but there was stuff that just it needed to be said, you know. I mean,
yeah.
And then so going on, Bob also then decides to say that Mike Hunt is mentally ill, and so I'll play that clip here.
Well, clearly, you have a mental health issue because you're always constantly pretending to be somebody you're not.
So you know you have an issue because you're constantly trying to pretend to be somebody you're not. You know, these are parody accounts, okay? We're reaction channels. I think, you know, Jennifer J said it best in her one live stream, you know, it's all a joke. It's all in humor, you know. This isn't, one thing I think a lot of these lolcows miss is this isn't harassment and this isn't bullying. We're basically sharing what we experience as a viewer going to their channels. Right? This is what we see. You might think you're painting some kind of picture, but this is what we see. And so we're going to give our opinions on it, and we're going to talk about it. You know, very rare are the people themselves attacked, right? It's their actions and their behaviors. Bob's a little bit different because Bob is just... I just keep saying he's special because there's some other words I want to use, but I will get knocked off of YouTube. But that's really what it is. Hey, Mel, welcome. Good to see you.
Hi, Mel.
And so then he basically, here's another video from him where he rambles, and this kind of ties to the file cabinet, and I'll play it here.
You're always contradicting what you say on YouTube. I saved all your videos. Let's put it to you that way.
I've saved all your videos.
Yeah, put them all in the file cabinet.
That's right. It's probably millions of flash drives, you know, all lined up in there. And I'm sure he sits on BobTube, like grabbing that transcript. Could you imagine?
Yeah, he's just recording the streams nonstop, not realizing that they're basically just repeating stuff over time.
Wow, this guy on here looks familiar. He looks just like me and talks like me.
The trolls are getting plastic surgery to look like me. They're using that deep fakes to make videos that sound like they're coming from me.
Oh, here's a good one. Militant Autist brought something up that I wasn't planning talking about, but I like it. So what's the deal with Richard Whittington? Well, Whittington should have his own channel.
Yes.
Whittington is very special. I think the reason why Whittington is not your traditional lolcow is he doesn't really respond back to people, so you really can't milk him or do anything.
He did once.
He did
once with Bobbert.
That's right, him and Eudora.
Yeah, him. He what did he call me? He called me silly. He called me three-tarded, which I'm assuming is some kind of advanced form of retarded. He what did he say? I think it's funny because he played the clip of me singing or trying to sing "Careless Whisper," and Eudora, I guess, is playing it in the background also. So in one of the videos, it's just Bobbert talking with Careless Whisper playing in the background. And it's like, I live with my Uncle Richard. I'm not your uncle. And my Aunt Eudora, she's not your anteater.
One thing about Richard Whittington and I just believe this to be true. I have to go back and look, so I'm kind of going from memory here, so it may not be right. But I have reason to believe that it was Richard Whittington who actually taught Bob how to work around that Social Security scam by saying that he's not married to Renee. What do you know about that?
So there was a video, and I'm sorry I don't have the source to this. There's so many videos where Bob says stupid shit. But there's a video where Bob talks about his friend's ex-wife, Eudora. I believe he calls her Andorra or something.
Of course.
He doesn't remember the names to any of his own friends. Go figures. But he talks about how her and her husband wanted to get divorced, but refused to because they got divorced but are cohabitating because it would get them more Social Security money. And that was his reasoning for why he was living in sin with Renee, basically.
Wow. That's just incredible. And, Richard Whittington has this thing against the president. He writes these long letters to the president. Sometimes I think that Bob has better grammar than Richard, and I know that's really tough to say. But Richard is also going on about the RFID chips and the rest.
Yeah, there's a video which I showed to someone who was replying to something Richard put on Twitter. They're like, "What's wrong with this guy?" And I just sent them the link to the paperclip video. Somehow, a large paperclip is deeply lodged within Richard's colon. And he shows the x-ray, and he's like, "How'd this RFDD chip get inside of me?" And it's very obviously a paperclip. Like,
how do you swallow a paperclip and not know?
Nobody's saying he swallowed it. I mean, there's two ways in there,
Oh yeah, okay, fine, whatever. Let's leave it at that. Okay.
I mean, three if you include the hole in his head.
And I'm still convinced that hole in his head, he says it was from cancer. I think he keeps digging in his head with pliers, thinking that there's a chip in there, and he keeps trying to get it out.
Because it always, it starts to heal up a little bit, and then in a month later, he'll show a video of it just looking like a bullet hole.
Can you see that video? My friend Bob shot me.
Bob McKim trying to get paperclip out of my forehead.
He's a doctor,
McDonald's is the devil.
Okay, maybe we'll cover Whittington a little bit more. I know enough about him to be dangerous. Personally, I'm willing to explore any of these lolcows, but he's one that it would take me quite a few drinks to have to sit through that one.
Well, I imagine you and Eudora are in the same boat on that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch myself on that one until I have some more proofs. All right, let's go back to Bob and the trade name video. So Bob is seen in his video, and he holds up this book, Emergency Communication Handbook. It's all waterlogged, and I had to go look it up, and that book was actually published in 2005, so it's 14 years old. And he goes on about emergency communications, and he's trying to read from it. Folks, it appears to me that this book, a whole new edition has come out since then. Yeah, Bob is still using an old edition of this book. And so, Bob's just lost it on that one. It's like, wow. And that's another thing too about Bob, is he uses old books, he pulls out old textbooks, he flips through manuals. What am I missing here? What else does he always reference besides that Carrier Award?
I know that he has a Black's Law dictionary that he says is a current edition, but it's itself like 15 years old. And he always brings up like what is that thing he says? Misogyn. I'm not even going to pretend to know how to pronounce that word. He uses it when he talks about why he doesn't need a marriage license, basically. And he cites this law from like the Civil War times, where you had to get like some kind of permission from the government to have an interracial marriage, and he says that law still holds today.
Yeah.
I think that Bob is misunderstanding the meaning of Black's Law Dictionary, if that's the case.
That's right. This is a law dictionary for black people.
Now, Renee's leg might be black, but the rest of her isn't.
Oh, then he could try to get some kind of extra benefits for her being a minority.
25% of Stark State College.
25% of Renee is black. Oh.
Just better make sure it doesn't fall off on the way there.
No. And then he showed her leg recently, and it didn't look as horrible. And if you guys don't know,
that's true.
She had a real bad case of cellulitis, and I'm sure some other stuff. And her leg was literally rotting, and he showed it on his videos. I mean, it was horrible.
I actually uploaded a clip or a picture of Renee's leg. Back before Bob had blocked me on Twitter. I replied to him for something I can't even remember, but Twitter automatically flagged it as like violent content. I guess because it thought that it was like a leg that got blew off in an IED explosion or something.
Posting pictures of dead people. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's. But anyways, he posted the leg, and it did look better. You could see some scarring from the thing, and it was also in the same video that he said, and here's proof that Renee is not dead, because there was some word going around that she was dead. And so he puts the camera over, and she just gives this look at the camera like she's just pissed off. She's like, I didn't clip out that video, but it's there. It's recent, so you don't have to go back too far.
I mean, I'd be a little upset too if I had a constant snow of asbestos raining down on me all day
from that hole.
Yeah.
And I can't find the video. I've been looking for it. You know I have, and others heard of it, so it may have been in that mass deletion. But I swear, and others have confirmed, that he has once said in a video that his pastor gave him money to fix that ceiling, but he went and bought the wrong insulation. Folks, this was years ago. It's not like last week. So no wonder they're sick. He also gets paranoid when it starts raining outside, and I really believe he thinks it's going to start coming into the trailer. Another thing too about Bob is, and we could probably save this for a part 2 on Bob, and that he believes he's the security guard. He believes that he's just actually, maybe we should just talk about it a little bit now. So Bob had security guard training. I've kind of talked about it, and he still thinks he's security. He started the Security Radio Patrol organization, but in reality, I think he's one of those people who always wanted to be a cop but couldn't get into the academy. You know? Like
Paul Blart.
Yeah, and he just has he has these badges. He always wants to look important and cool, but he's not a security guard. Yeah, he may have had the training in the past, because there's all these videos about that. But the fact is, nobody is commissioning him today, either paid or volunteer, to be security. So he wears this costume for like nothing. And he shows up. He mainly does it, I think, just to get preferential treatment in places. But from time to time, he will show up, on an accident scene, and it's not one that they call him to. It's one that he finds. So here is Bob, because remember, Bob thinks he's like Mr. Authority. Here he is talking to Mike Hunt out of that same trade name video about placing people under arrest.
Like you say, you don't care about my authority. I do have authority.
Respect my authority!
Because if I'm out there doing something and you disregard my authority and what I'm telling you to do, whether it's traffic control or whatever, yeah, I could place you under citizen's arrest.
And I hereby, as a citizen of the town of Mayberry in the United States of America, arrest you.
And take you straight to a law enforcement officer, and he will place you under arrest for not listening to me.
Citizen's arrest, citizen's arrest, what are you yelling about?
Yeah, I could place you under citizen's arrest.
So here's Bob saying that he could place you under citizen's arrest, okay?
Yeah.
Well, first off, and we're going to get into this a little bit more, it's pretty bizarre. And I want to give two different scenarios here, okay? First scenario is, let's just say Bob's driving that little pissant mobile and he comes upon an accident or some kind of whatever. Like there was a video back in the beginning of April where he stopped the van because some guy had lost some shit off the back of his truck, and Bob just stopped so the guy could pick up whatever it was. We think it was tools. We don't even know what it was. Hey, sissy. So if you disregarded Bob's traffic control there, that would mean that Bob would have to stop traffic control to get in his van to chase you down to place you under citizen's arrest. Right? Scenario 2 is, let's say there is a police situation, the police are already there and Bob's controlling traffic. Well, if the police are already there, I don't believe Bob could place somebody under citizen's arrest or even go out chase after him. They could probably even commit a crime right in front of him. But if a law enforcement officer is there, I don't think he could place somebody under citizen's arrest. But Bob has this history of giving chase to people. You mentioned at the beginning of the video, which I totally forgot about that one. What was it? Was it a red Mustang?
Yeah, there's a video on his CAER channel where he was, I guess, pulling out of the mobile home park, and a red Mustang just zooms by, and then Bob lets out this just beleaguered sigh and starts trying to chase it at, probably the van's maximum speed of 38 miles per hour. And by the time he reaches a stoplight, the Mustang is nowhere to be seen. And he just, impotently grumbles to himself. He's like, "Oh, they're going too fast. What do they think they're doing?"
Yeah, I mean, he just, who cares, And I even sent this video to the police. The police aren't going to do shit. I mean, there's no clocking, but whatever. But here's another example of Bob giving chase, and I agree, Godman. I think he is going to get his ass kicked one day for stalking the wrong person or trying to arrest the wrong person.
Yeah, let's hope that person's foot doesn't get stuck.
Yeah, ew. So here's Bob again giving chase.
Just over a minute later, that Bob decides that he's going to turn around and go after this man.
So this is the militant artist. This is the deputy you were mentioning.
Bob, again, a minute later after this happens, crosses over a double yellow line to make a U-turn across private property as a civilian, giving chase to somebody who crossed the double yellow line, or at least was in the middle of it.
So this was the case where the guy kind of goes over the line. You can, when you listen to the audio, that guy did come awful close to Bob. I will give Bob that one.
Yeah.
And Bob decides, like I said, however long later, to turn his van around to go give chase after this guy. And I'm going to assume he's going to try to put the guy under citizen's arrest. Long story short on that one, it turns out that it was a sheriff deputy in uniform. So then, here's This was a truck that passed Bob. And a lot of people probably didn't even catch this. But he had a truck that had passed him really fast. So here's the video on that. So you can see this truck is going very fast.
Speed limit is only 40 miles per hour. Double solid line. And he's left of center.
So Bob's going on about that. So this guy passes him going really fast on double yellow, whatever. If you listen later in the video, Bob seems a little pissed off that he can't catch up to this guy to, again, undoubtedly try to yell at him or place him under arrest. Have a listen to this.
He was flying, or it's hard to tell where he is. He's not off the road
So here in this video, Bob's saying he was flying. It's very hard to tell where he is. So Bob clearly starts looking for this man, to do God knows what. I did do, so, we got to remember that Bob thinks he could place people under arrest. So I ended up going to Find Law to find this definition of citizen's arrest. And basically it says a person can arrest someone that they suspect of committing a felony. Okay, they can't really do it for a misdemeanor unless the misdemeanor involves a breach of peace. Now, I don't know of any traffic offense Bob would be involved in, like traffic control of the arrest, that will be a felony. That would be all misdemeanors, but he thinks he can still place people under arrest. Which I've said in previous scenarios, that would mean he would also have to give chase after you to place you under arrest, which is just crazy. And I think many of you know, what was it, CWC? It was the Christian Weston Chandler, that Bob basically placed him under arrest over the internet. There's a video where Bob's like, and you are under arrest. CWC doesn't even live in Ohio or anywhere close, so I don't know how that would work. So then I had to take this a step further because you all kind of know me by now. I got to research something, especially if Bob says it. So going over to NOLO, basically, what kind of legal trouble can you get in for citizen's arrests? And this guy who's a UCLA law professor basically says, you know what, try to leave it to the pros. Because you can really only do it if somebody's committing a felony or if there's some kind of breach of peace. Which breach of peace, it's not in stone, it's actually determined kind of, it says here, on a case-by-case basis. So is somebody not listening to a big fat man in a lime green vest? Is that going to be really breaching the peace? I don't know.
I'll have you know that is a neon yellow vest. I would know. I happen to have bought some neon yellow apparel at Walmart a while ago.
I remember being in Walmart a couple of months ago and they had his yellow or whatever, what do you call it, that jacket with the hood that he wears. That thing was $70. I mean, no wonder he wears it all the time. He better get his money out of it.
We were driving in another town, and we saw this Hispanic guy, and I don't know if he was like part of a road crew or what, but he was just by himself, selling those yellow jackets out of the back of his van. And I, leaned over to my mom and I said, "It looks like Bob's recruiting in our area."
Do you remember when I messaged you in the winter? we had got a new snow removal service, and we had a really bad snow, and it was 9:30.
I think I remember this.
Yes, it was like 9:30 at night, winter, and I'm up I'm in the upstairs, and I happen to look down, and there's this fat man coming up my driveway in this yellow vest with the reflective thing. And I just remember thinking, holy fucking shit, Bob's here. It was the snow removal
Was he
guy.
holding did he have a baseball bat?
Yeah, he didn't. He had a baseball bat. But I was just like, oh my God. And I remember messaging you. I'm like, could you believe this? But I did dig deeper in here and come to find out that if Bob arrests somebody, improper arrest, he could actually be liable for a tort, and he could be sued or be held for false imprisonment.
Wow.
Because police officers, it says, have more protection for false arrest than citizens do. And then, not fine law, NOLO. I keep saying fine law, but NOLO. And then they said, they gave this example that I don't want to get into, but it says here that because it was a false citizen's arrest, that person who made that arrest could be liable for damages to compensate for time, trouble, and distress. So, Bob better be very careful. He's out there making these citizens' arrests over not listening to him and not respecting his authority. I mean, it's just incredible. All right, let me hit chat. I've been kind of yapping. We've been yapping. I've ignored some people here. It's Godman's talking, saying some good things. Did I say hi to Sissy? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I know. Bob, please arrest me. Please arrest me because I want to own that trailer and I want to own that van.
I don't want to own either of those.
I want it because, once I take title of it, once it becomes mine, I'm going to burn them both in front of him.
No, that's just cruel to the ants.
Okay, that's true. I'll save the ants first. So all you PETA people and animal rights people, I will save the ants.
I mean, come on. It's a mobile ant farm. Who would not want something like that? So, hey, Mom.
Oh, yes. Second generation's here. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Handcuffs from Dollar General, I'm sure. Well, no, Dollar General, they might be $2 or $3. He probably got his at the dollar store.
I don't know. He might have some fuzzy cuffs left from his threesomes.
Ew. Ew.
Might want to wash them first.
Oh, I'm going to have nightmares. No, stop.
Dip them in some vinegar.
Boil them. Boil them. With the cushions.
Yeah.
So, Bob and Mel, I have to thank you for this one. She gave me an idea this week. I don't know if she knows, but when he went on about those communications and whatnot, nowhere in those books of his, I don't care if it was 2005 or 2014 or 2019, does it say listen to your police scanner and then take to YouTube to make a video about it. But lately Bob's been listening to a scanner and he's like reporting as if he's on the flippin' news. It's like, who cares? I mean, I feel bad for the poor guy who warped himself around a tree, but it's not relevant, right? Well, then, thanks to Mel, I found that the Tusco County scanner, which is a scanner, they post the calls on Facebook, they're actually looking for a volunteer. And they must be willing, Bob's willing because he listens 24/7 to the police scanner, have the time, well fuck, we know Bob has more time than anybody, to listen to numerous scanner feeds and post in a timely manner with pertinent information. I think this is perfect. And we know Bob can't read or write, so why couldn't he just make his little YouTube videos and post them to this Facebook stream? I think this would be the perfect thing for Bob to do all day, harassing every goddamn food pantry in the area and calling all these different headquarters and the rest.
I'm not gonna say anything to discourage him because I want to see this epoch in Bob's life.
And just a little quick break here. I'm glad that Sissy is here because I have something special for her. I have the happy birthday cow dance for her. So happy birthday, Sissy. I did that just for you. I hope you enjoy the little cow dance. One of the last things here, before we get into something else, is, and I didn't see anybody else catch this in his video, but in that same trade name video, Bob talks about foreigners and how they drive. And I was really surprised that, and nothing Bob says or does surprises me, really, but have a listen to what he says about these drivers.
I've noticed a lot of foreigners now driving 18-wheelers.
A lot of foreigners.
Yeah, they might have went to school, but really when it comes right down to it, they don't know what they're doing. Because they come here and they think, well, they really don't have to abide by our laws. But they do. If they're citizens of the United States of America, they have to abide by our laws, even if they're not a citizen.
So, if they go to school, they clearly know the rules, they know the laws, And who is he to be talking about people driving 18-wheelers? I mean, he can't even drive a van.
He's just mad because a lot of those foreigners probably know 2 languages, and he is barely struggling at 1.
Oh my God, Frey, that's hilarious. Frey says he can't even count the wheels on one. Yeah.
I mean, in his defense, does it really count as wheels if he's just having ants get out and push?
I mean, come on, where the fuck did this 18-wheeler thing come from? I don't know. There must be another video coming where some 18-wheeler must have cut him off or passed him in a freaking Walmart parking lot.
He's probably going to have been driving through like the parking lot at a grocery store, and they have like the meat truck unloading. Oh, this meat truck's blocking my favorite handicap spot.
Damn. Yeah, they're delivering the bacon.
Hello, is this the Carroll County Sheriff?
Well, do you remember
parked outside the lines?
I had the video lined up, but it didn't really fit with citizens arrest. But I had the video, again, from April 8th or 9th, where he's sitting in a parking lot and he calls the Dover Police Department because there's cars that are not parked correctly. And he says, these people are blocking, blah, blah, blah. And she says, sir, there's nothing we can do because it's on private property. And he says, oh, I know. They just really need to get their lines done. And why are you bothering the police? I mean, you're an idiot. I mean, why? Why are you even troubling the police with all this bullshit? And the girl was very nice because I'm sure, the dispatcher, she held it together, and she probably assumed that he was just some old man because she talked to him like she would talk to her grandfather. Yes, sir. Yeah. So if we, I don't know, it's it. So in this video, it then goes on to Comedy Central, but I already played that. He couldn't say Comedy Central.
Calmonte Central.
Calmonte Central. And then,
if I ever start my own stream, it's going to be called The False Herd. It's just going to have a picture of a bunch of like cardboard cutouts of cows.
the false herd with the false prophet. Perfect.
Yeah.
And then he went on to say that maybe I was bullied in school, or maybe I was a bully. And then he wished us all a blessed day. And so that, that was that video, and it was just, as you could see, a 20-minute video, but it was loaded with different things that you can refute. And let me see, there's 9 people watching. Who wants to put money that Bob is one of those 9 people right now? I
Bob and Ada Renee's account.
And Sissy. What is this? Yeah, I remember that Joe Hester video about the speed and accounting, which incidentally, does anybody know anything about Joe Hester and his channel? Because I've noticed that some of his videos may have disappeared. It could have just been a fluke in my system.
I've got a notification right here that he uploaded something at 9:40 called The Phone Call. I'm going to watch that later.
Oh, okay. So maybe he got a call from Bob's attorneys. Also, moving right along here, I don't know if many of you know, but Bob actually wrote a book.
He wrote 2, actually.
He wrote 2. I only got a picture of 1. And it's available on Amazon. Unfortunately, it's not available in most Christian bookstores. So you're going to have to get this one from Amazon. And so what is it? Is it, 32 pages?
So the other one is 32 pages. This one, there are no page numbers, so I can't tell. But I would have to guess maybe 150. It's a decent-sized book.
Oh, wow.
But it's double space, so that kind of helps.
And what about those page numbers? I hear something about page numbers.
Yeah, there just aren't any. There's the only numbers in here are the table of contents. It's chapter 1, my biography. 2, growing up in the late 1960s and in the 1970s, people used to treat with brotherly love. And it just goes on like that, these ridiculously long titles. And then there's just no page numbers. There's some pictures in here, like, have any of you ever used Microsoft Word for like a school project? And you know how they always say don't put pictures in your project? It's because like dummies like Bob don't know how to format the pictures, and they just get stuck to the side of the thing, and they put this giant blank space of text or no text. That's what he did. One of these pictures is hanging off the page of the book. Like, it goes into the spine, and I can't even read half of it. That's, he's real bad at this, is what I'm getting at.
And I do not have a copy of the book. Third Generation, however, has a copy. How did you get that
I have
copy?
A copy of... Well, I'm going to start with just the more mundane one. The second book I bought on Amazon, and I bought my sister a copy of each book and sent them to her for like a birthday present. Now, speaking of birthday presents, I actually got my copy of Going Through the Fires of Life with Jesus by Robert McKim for my birthday back in 2016. I just started showing my mother and sister Bob's videos, and while I was showing them one day, I said, this guy has a book, and I joked with my sister and said, this would be a great birthday present. Well, she got it for me, and it is one of the best presents I've ever received in my life, not even joking.
Why? So why is that the best present you ever got in your life?
Well, okay, so Bob sometimes mentions when he talks about Jim Baker, the book that Jim Baker wrote while he was in prison. I think it was called I Was Wrong or something.
Yeah.
This is Bob's version of I Was Wrong. Bob does not have like the self-awareness to realize that this book makes him look like an absolutely atrocious piece of human garbage. He thinks that, oh, Jim Baker talked about the bad things he did, so if I talk about the bad things I did, that's fine too. So he talks about looking at little girls' vaginas when he was a kid. He talks about masturbation sessions with his cousins. And he talks about all these girlfriends that he used to have.
Well, hang on one quick second, just before you go there.
Uh-huh.
So Joe Hester's here, and he says that the police...
Hello, Joe.
He says, the police did in fact make me take all the videos down. He has a court date for June. He's literally shaking, triggered.
Oh.
Sorry, Joe. I might know a good attorney. It's prepaid legal. I mean, they might be able to help you there. Wow.
I'll pray for you, Joe. I'll send blessings your way.
Oh, good. Somebody referenced it, so now I can actually say it because I'm technically just reading chat. So, yes, if you want to hear his book read by someone, you can go to the Bobby McKimmo channel, and I have reason to believe that somebody who reads his book chapter by chapter, or you can Joe cracks me up, sorry. Or as Francisco just said, you can read free samples of the book on Amazon. Why thank you, Joe, and God blesses you too. Hopefully you believe in the right God in all of this. Bob's God is the way, the truth, and the life. Fuck everybody else's.
Come, Jesus, come.
That's one picture that's floating around that I really can't post or won't post, but you all have good imaginations, so so let's talk a little bit about Bob talks in his book a little. I'll let you go with it. You have a better idea.
All right. So, I guess for a little backstory, let me recap you, as Bob says. You all know about June. You talked about her in the Wednesday stream.
Yes.
There was this joke going around that she's the perfect mate for Bob. And it sort of got me thinking about Bob's type, the type of women that Bob seems to gravitate towards. We all know about Renee. There's just not really much I need to touch on there. And some of us know about his ex-wife, Barb. I personally actually... Yeah, she's currently a lesbian. Bob turned her gay.
Allegedly.
I mean, there's a lot of evidence to the contrary to that, but I actually surprisingly do not know that much about Barb. I actually don't really want to intrude on Barb's whatever's going on with her. She ain't done nothing wrong that I know of. But in Bob's book, he talks about some relationships that he had after his divorce from Barb. So let me find one of them. That would be a good place to start. Here's one.
Before you go there, while you're flipping, and you went too fast, but I also think earlier I talked about how Bob has this hatred for the LGBT community, the way he goes on about Christian or CWC, the way he goes on about Jennifer J. Not just calling Jennifer Jennifer, but I believe he also refers to Jennifer as the confused man from Canada. But I also think some of this hatred goes to the fact that his wife did leave him for another woman, or she left him because she was lesbian and subsequently married a woman who was actually going to take the McKim last name.
Yeah, she should change her name back to Kid Eye. I'm not marrying that woman. He's probably just upset he doesn't get to be in any threesomes. That's the problem.
Which he talks about in his book, if you haven't said already. But okay, continue.
Yes,
on.
That's their. All right. So, let me read you an excerpt from the chapter called Moving into an Apartment in Newcomers Town. Now, for some context, in 2002, he moved into an apartment complex that was catered towards the elderly and disabled. And this is from the book. I moved into my apartment in November of 2002 and lived there till my ex-wife wanted me back in her life in November of 2003. While I was living in that apartment, I had a friend that has cerebral palsy that lived in another apartment. He had a home health aide that didn't like it when his friend stopped over to visit. She would complain about us eating his food and would say that he was to stay there while she was there. I was helping him with managing his money because he was going to the bank and using his savings ATM card to take money out that he didn't have in his account. I went and got a power of attorney to help him because the bank was talking about pressing charges. Now, that one was actually a little bit out of order. I forgot to number these, but the fact is, Bob had a friend while he was in this living facility, and he managed to get power of attorney over them and supposedly power over their finances. Does that sound familiar to anyone?
I think somebody I know has made a video about that.
Yeah.
Becoming a representative payee for Renee.
I know, right? So let me... Here's one about a girlfriend, okay? And I want you guys to kind of pay attention. Oh,
I need to
say
step
something?
I need to step away. Keep going, but I'm going to step away for 1 second. Nature calls.
Okay.
But keep going.
I think Godman might be onto something here. I was dating a woman in the apartment named Barb, but she was not the woman for me because she would sit on the floor in front of me so she could be close to my privates. She was very different when it came to sexual things. She scared me when it came to her sexual desires. She told me about getting into trouble with the police and the law because of her sexual desires. Now, here we have a woman who lives in the same apartment complex as him, and I don't think Bob was into elderly women, so that most likely makes this woman disabled. And she clearly has some kind of problems with her inhibition, maybe with her reasoning. I don't know. He doesn't say. But just keep that in mind. He has a friend who he gained power over attorney and power over their finances, and now he has a mentally challenged girlfriend. Now, that on its own doesn't really mean anything. It could just be a coincidence. Here's him talking about possibly the same guy as before, maybe someone else. He goes to an indoor amusement park with his sons and this person when he gets an SSI check. And, let's see here. I also bought some new tires, presumably for the Piss Ant Mobile, and I bought my friend a high school class ring that he wanted. He told me that he would pay me back for the hotel and the ring, but when his aunt put him in a group home, she called the group home and tried to tell them, and the sentence just cuts off there. I guess he was going to say that Bob was stealing his money or something. It took me getting my prepaid attorneys to write them a letter with the proof that he owed me money. If I was stilling, S-T-I-L, he's like a still that you make moonshine in. If I was stilling his money, why would I get my attorneys to get the money that he owed me? So here we have a possible third person who is exhibiting traits that Renee also has, basically recklessly spending money because Bob is not being a responsible payee. So, the puzzle pieces are starting to kind of drift together.
Well, and we did see. I'm back, but we did see with Renee's just analyzing the situation, how there's some questionable ways on how he deals with her money, and how if they're not married, because just really quick, if you don't know, if they are married, she'll get a 25% reduction in her disability, but if they're not married, they both get the full amount. And so they're carrying on the charade. Well, so they have to have these separate accounts. But then he made a whole case, which I didn't even cover in my video because I didn't catch it till later, of how he's trying to justify how he takes all the money out of her account and puts it into his account.
Yeah. Like, this is just... red flags are starting to go off here. Yeah. And here is the longest excerpt, which, well, actually, there's a short one I'm going to read first. This one's not really entirely related. I just think it's funny. We need a little bit of humor to break this up.
Yeah.
I then met another 30-year-old girl in Newcomers Town till she had a problem with someone taking a photo of her dead baby and accused me of taking it. Like...
Oh, my God.
If... You know how Bob always tries to shift the blame in some ridiculous way? Like, he claims that we're hacking his videos and all this other stuff, or that he never said that, even though it's well documented. Mm-hmm. This man, like you were saying before, this man's taken pictures of Renee's diarrhea.
Videos.
This man I don't know what his motivation for taking pictures of a dead baby was. I suspect he might have been wearing his yellow, lime green, whatever color pullover to take a picture of it, but still.
But some kind of probably being Mr. Cool or whatever. But yeah, I mean, the fact that somebody took a picture of a deceased baby and then posted online, even in that time frame, like today, I kind of expect to see it, but back then, you didn't see that kind of stuff. You saw cats and what I ate for lunch. You didn't see dead people,
Well, I mean, Bob gets hungry. He needs that protein. Maybe he did have it for lunch.
Oh, no.
So, here's the last one, and I'm not going to read it because it's very long. This is almost an entire chapter, this one. But he recounts living with this woman, I believe that... Yeah. He says it's when he moved back in with his ex-wife, but I mean, I don't know why he has it written here. But anyways, I'm going to read you one excerpt. I caught her one night on the computer showing her naked body to some guy on the cam, and she lied to me about it. She was also making friends with some of the single guys in the trailer park. I was not happy with what she was doing, and I called my parents to come and get me for a while so I can go and talk to the sheriff with what she was doing. The sheriff went to talk to her, and she said that he wanted her sexually, but the sheriff told me that she wanted to have sex with him.
Why didn't he place her under citizen's arrest?
I don't know.
And Mel, that's fair. I'll even say it for you as well. That Newcomers Town is a very nice place, and most of the people there are nice, normal people. However, Bob makes it sound terrible.
Yeah, thank goodness he's gone. He's in that shithole Carrollton now, I get.
Yeah. Approved by Melhar for mayor.
So basically what I'm trying to get at with this one girlfriend, because it goes on and on and on and on. Bob was driving one day and having an argument with her, and he gunned the engine on his van and blew out the transmission. And he had to get his parents to help him, and they bought him a new van. Now, when he comes home, his girlfriend is throwing all his stuff out in the lawn, and she kicks up such a loud fight that the neighbors call the police on him. Now, this woman, to be fair, this could be a psychological side effect of living with Bob, but it seems to me that Bob... Yeah, it seems to me that Bob seems to linger around people who have developmental disabilities so that he can take control of their finances. Now, we've seen what Bob does with Renee's money. Whenever Renee gets an overage from school, or whenever Renee gets a little extra money from a refund, he spends that money on police scanners, on radios, on loans, on computers, on just knickknacks that have no real value. Because it's not his money and he doesn't care.
Yeah,
he really doesn't care about his...
And he has like a long history of this. And when you look at his work history, he talks about he has a 24-year work history. And you know what, fine, he was a paper boy. I guess that was a job. However, everything was like a substitute. I was a substitute bus driver for 4 years. Well, when you're a substitute, you don't get called every day. You get called when somebody's sick. And he's had to do stuff to make money. I also think, some people think, he could be preying on people, and it could very well be true. But I also, Bob, we know, is fairly low functioning, right? I don't care what that IQ test said, even though it only came up at 91, but he's got to get people who are lower functioning than him so he could feel superior.
That's true. Look at his friends. You have Richard, who I attest that he did some sort of self-trepanation to himself because Alex Jones or Jim Baker told him to, or whatever. And Donald Mascarenhas, who, let me just say something about Donald. All right, Donald, from all I've seen, seems to be a perfectly fine guy. He did that one Bible study video. He did it very competently, but the fact of the matter is he is also got some sort of mental cognitive impairment. And these are the only friends Bob seems to have.
Well, the name of his chapel is the King James Version Chapel. That's the name of his church, chapel, whatever. But the other thing that I think is important is there is a video that Bob made where he talks that Renee has been diagnosed with mental retardation. So we're not just saying this because we assume it. Some doctor, and if you read the doctor's name, it sounded like a very Indian-sounding doctor, but has actually diagnosed her with mental retardation. So Bob effectively has a girlfriend who has been diagnosed with mental retardation and a whole bunch of other ailments. And I think he's preying on her. I mean, that's just my own opinion.
I don't think that Bob is like playing some kind of 4D chess here and trying to make it so that Renee can't be independent. But I do think that Bob is aware that Renee's reliance on him benefits him more than it benefits her. I think he's really dumb, but he's just smart enough to be dangerous to someone.
Yeah, and the other thing too, and you know what, I want to be very clear. I'm not picking on or even analyzing Renee right now, because she is diagnosed with mental retardation. So she's going to be as she is. There's some story from her family why she's even with Bob, because quite frankly she's kind of, I don't want to say using Bob, but Bob was her first boyfriend who actually had a car, if I recall correctly. So this man was a step up from somebody I think she had been previously married to. But we also can't forget that it's been said that Renee has robbed a bank. Truthfully. And she was caught because she took the money she robbed from the bank to go shopping in the mall next door or some shit like that. Did you know more of that story?
So I used to have the newspaper article. My mom had found it possibly from the McKim Files, which was the Facebook page that Bisexual Ministries runs or used to run. I don't know if it's still up. But my mom had showed it to me, and I cannot for the life of me find it. I looked all over my phone before the stream, but basically the long and short of it was that Renee was at a bank in the mall. She robbed the bank pretending she had a gun. I guess she did the whole hand under the shirt thing. And the bank...
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So the bank called the police, and I guess because it was a mall, the police were nearby, or some sort of police detachment was nearby. And they said, "Oh, this heavy-set man robbed our bank." So we all know, even before she had the cellulitis, she's not very well equipped for a quick getaway. They found her in the ladies' bathroom, very close to the bank, getting the money organized or something.
Counting her money.
Yeah. And I think that you're right. I think that when they questioned her, she said that she was going to buy something in the same mall that she just robbed.
And of course, I believe, again, you might know better, but she actually didn't go to jail or prison for this because of the fact that she does have impaired mental function. And so I believe she spent time in a halfway house or institutionalized or something, correct?
Yeah. I do not know about that, but I imagine that would probably be the case.
Yeah. Yeah. But oh my goodness, yeah. So Bob has a cash cow who's also robbed banks. I mean, I don't know. That's just you can't make.
I'm
this
looking
shit
it
up.
Something Militant Autist put. What she use a ride cart as a getaway vehicle? She can't walk, can she? Well, she uses a walker inside the trailer, so. I mean,
but I believe
maybe they follow.
But hasn't her condition progressed to where the walking was bad? I mean, was she I can't imagine she robbed a bank with a walker. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be all serious here, and I can't. But I think she had higher mobility.
Put all the money in the little basket right now.
The basket with the daisy on the front.
I hope it's not one of them little toilet walkers. Put all the money in the bowl right now.
Ignore the diarrhea. Just put the money in there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to hell now.
Oh, well, Bob has us going. I mean, that's...
Yeah. Bob will finally get to meet me face to face.
But, yeah, so, it's already late, but this is a good introduction into Bob.
My content.
We unfortunately have really only scraped the surface here. But now that you know all this, if you've been with us all along, you're watching a replay, you'll understand more when a Bob video comes out, because he's so self-important. And today, I was fully expecting a video today from him, because the safe communities, the Carroll County Safe Communities, which is this big thing he says he's wrapped up in, and that group, they're mainly into public education, about safe driving mainly. Well, today they kicked off their Click It or Ticket campaign, and so they have a booth at the farmers market, but they're giving away free shit. I think they're giving away free signs, and I think they're giving away free seats too. So Bob was first in line. So I'm very surprised there's no video. Maybe that'll come tomorrow with the 18-wheeler video.
I mean, if they're giving away seatbelt extenders, you know he'll be there.
And fan belts. And he'll still bitch about it, and that's the thing, he'll still bitch about free stuff. I go back, and I know I want to wrap this up, but the one thing that always sticks with me, and I actually got this from the Bisexual Ministries International channel, but I think it was Thanksgiving, but don't quote me here. Bob's talking about he got a free ham and free sweet potatoes and free green beans and whatever from the food pantry for Thanksgiving, and it turned around and bitched because it wasn't a free turkey and it wasn't free white potatoes and the rest.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite Bisexual Ministries videos. If anyone has not seen that particular video, you need to go see it.
Yeah, I mean that one. It's something about giving thanks, or maybe thanks in the name. I can't recall.
Like preaching about being thankful or grateful or something.
Yeah, that one. It's incredible. Or when he gets on, he'll call his pastor to get help, and the pastor will give him these gift cards, like $50 gift cards, I think, one time, and he took to YouTube to bitch that the pastor gave him a $50 gift card to the wrong supermarket because that particular supermarket's more expensive than the one he wanted the gift card from.
Oh, it wasn't just that. It was that they only had 80% lean hamburger and not the 90% that he doesn't even have to drink.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. He goes to a special Bircher for this bacon that he swears came from heaven. It was a fat-free, salt-free, made in a special smokehouse. I mean, there's just so much, and I only had 2 days to prepare between the last live stream and now, but maybe next Saturday we could come up with a new, another theme to continue on Bob, and of course keep reviewing the lolcow pastures. And I have, I haven't seen some of the people who've made the recommendations here, but I want to say that I do receive your comments, and I do see your messages where you make suggestions of different lolcows to follow. I've had a couple people suggest this Gorgeous George person. Is it Gorgeous George Yared or something? He's kind of gone very silent, and I don't think he's made anything for more than half a year, so I don't like to do a lot of retro reactions as much as I can. I want to keep people current. I'll keep them on the radar, but I don't want you to think that I'm ignoring your suggestions. I get a lot of suggestions for this Eric Cook. Eric Cook comes out of the Amberlynn Reed camp. I don't know if you follow her, but she's
Oh God!
She's a huge, weight loss, alleged weight loss channel. I don't really want to do him. I may, but I'm not going to go after the big people either. I'm not going to do like Nikado or Amberlynn or Chantel or the rest because, I can't. But a lot of people, and I want to make this very, very clear right now, a lot of people suggest that I do Jennifer J. And I've become pretty good friends with Jennifer J over time. Yes, I know she has a speech impediment, and it took me a little bit to, get used to it. I too struggle when she blows her nose in her hand. But she has a very good story, and Jennifer is a very gentle heart. She doesn't mean any harm. She's another one who's not telling people they need to go to hell. Jennifer is Jennifer. She calls a spade, and she doesn't give a shit what you think. But if you really get to know her story, it's more worthy of a documentary than being featured on Comedy Central. So, and it's okay if you're not a fan of Jen. That's perfectly fine. I'm just saying I may include her videos or reference her, or if she continues doing stupid stuff like she did when she was smoking all that pot and getting high out of her mind and hallucinating. Yeah, I'm gonna cover her, but I'm not gonna cover her every single episode, and she's kind of cleaned up since then. So in any case. Oh, you have on good authority that JHA will be on the next stream?
Oh.
Well, JHA, definitely knows how to get a hold of me. So if he wants to be on, he can message me. So yeah, guys, I want to say thank you for coming. I appreciate it. This has been fun. I had a really good time. It did go a little bit longer than I wanted to. I want to thank Third Generation for coming out, your mom, and Mel. And I don't take offense if I don't mention every single person who was here. Maybe I'll do something on Wednesday, but for sure we're planning on doing this again next Saturday. Maybe we'll have more people on the panel to talk about more people. But until I talk to you guys next, have a great evening and God bless.